Ever wondered why some departments seem to have it all? The new chairs, the generous budgets, and the projects that always stay calm no matter what happens outside? You know the one. Maybe you work near it. Maybe you send reports to it. Everything about it feels insulated, stable, permanent. This isn't a video about how to get a job there. This is about understanding why it exists and what its existence costs everyone else. First, a simple test. If you're listening, one of these is probably your experience. 1, your biggest job is to keep things exactly as they are. Change is a threat, not an opportunity. 2, you have access to everything, but you're walled off from everyone. Your communication tools are monitored, your data is locked down, and casual chats with other departments are discouraged. 3, your world moves slowly. Deadlines are soft. Crises in other parts of the company feel like distant weather, muffled by incredible soundproofing. This isn't because you're better, it's because you've been architecturally classified. But what happens when the foundation starts to crack? Your department isn't a team, it's a load-bearing wall designed to stay immovable while everything else around it collapses. Why does this happen? Because every system, from a tech giant to a bank, needs one thing above all else: a stable reference point. Chaos can happen everywhere else, but here, at the center, the needle must not tremble. This isn't about fairness, it's about engineering. Let's look at the blueprint. Part 1, the core doesn't follow rules. It is the rules. When the core department does something, it's not just an action, it's a policy announcement. Its slow, careful processes aren't seen as inefficient, they're copied as best practice. Its cautious approvals aren't seen as bottlenecks, they're worshipped as rigorous governance. Think of the risk committee at a major bank. They move at a glacial pace, but that slowness is the gold standard. The fast-moving traders on the floor, they have to constantly prove they aren't being too fast compared to that glacial core. The core's visibility isn't about being watched, it's about being the source of the light that watches everyone else. Here's the tell. If other teams get in trouble for not using your specific template or format, you're not a department. You're the standard, and standards are very hard to fire. Part 2, the resource black hole. The core isn't productive in the normal sense. It's a tax. But here's the thing. Every time someone tries to challenge it, they become the problem. Want to know how that cycle really works? Keep watching. It exists to consume the best resources. The top lawyers, the most senior engineers, the emergency cash reserves, so that it never has a shortage. This creates a beautiful, sick dependency. When a factory on the other side of the world has a problem, it can't fix it itself. It has to ask the core for a solution, which the core will provide, using the resources it took from the factory's budget in the first place. It's a perfect loop. The core's primary output isn't product, it's justification for its own continued funding. And the moment you try to innovate to change this cozy setup, you become a problem. You're rocking the most stable boat in the harbor. The system will gently, firmly put you back in your seat. Part 3, the ultimate risk transfer. Here's the real secret of core safety. It doesn't do the dangerous stuff. It assigns the dangerous stuff. The core designs the ethical guidelines for the AI. It does not face the protesters when the AI goes rogue. The core sets the quarterly sales targets. It does not get fired when the targets are impossible. But who really bears the consequences when those targets aren't met? Stay tuned to see where the blame falls. The core defines the compliance protocol. It does not go to jail when the protocol fails. All the real risk, the public anger, the legal liability, the career-ending failure, is systematically outsourced. The core is the mission control room that's built on solid ground, watching rockets explode on the launch pad it designed. The safety you feel isn't luck, it's the result of 1,000 invisible contracts that say the explosion happens over there. Let's be clear, the people in the core aren't geniuses, they're placeholders. But what happens when the placeholder disappears? What's left behind? Find out next. The system needs a stable node, and they happen to fit in the socket. Their individual talent is almost irrelevant, so if you're in the core, your real danger isn't from outside. It's from rotting from the inside. Your threat is believing your own press. Here's how you slow the rot. First, hunt for bad news. Force yourself to read the raw, angry feedback from the teams that have to use your policies. Listen to the complaints you're not supposed to hear. Your goal is to fight the echo chamber before it turns your department into a museum exhibit. Second, never say only we can do this. That's the mantra of a parasite. Instead, secretly hope someone else could do it. The moment you're the only option, you stop improving and start decaying. Bureaucracy is just a core department that forgot it could be replaced. Third, play a morbid game. What if we disappeared? Seriously. What if your approval, your data, your sign-off just vanished? Would the company collapse, or would it find a messy, creative way around you in a week? Knowing the answer is the only way to know your real power. Now let's dismantle the fairy tales they tell in the core. The meritocracy myth? Please. The core values predictability over brilliance. They don't need rock stars. They need reliable metronomes. The we create the most value myth, the core controls how value is measured. Of course it wins its own game. The we're the future myth, when a company truly pivots, when it goes from selling software to selling services, from making cars to making batteries, the old core is usually the first thing dismantled. It's too heavy to move. Your choices are bleak. You can become part of the furniture. Cost? You'll be comfortable until the building is renovated, and then you'll be in a dumpster. You can use your safe position to build something unsafe on the side. Cost, if caught, this is treason, and you'll be removed cleanly and quietly. Or you can try to reform the core from within. Cost, you will be trying to convince a fortress to dismantle its own walls. You will fail and be remembered as unstable. Staying is a long, slow decline. Leaving is a sudden, painful jump. Thinking you're special is what makes both of those hurt more. You don't need to make a move today. You just need to see the design. The core is safe because the system is built like a tree. Everything exists to protect the trunk. But here's the catch. A tree doesn't grow new branches from the trunk. It grows them at the ends where the risk is highest in the sunlight you can't reach. And what happens when that branch starts to bend? Which leads to the next perfectly logical question. If the system needs to test a new idea, something risky, untested, potentially brilliant, or disastrous, where does it put that experiment? Not in the safe, stable core. That would be insane. It puts it out on a limb, in a special zone, a place they can call the future while quietly preparing to saw it off. We call that the pilot program, the innovation lab, the greenfield project, and its fate is almost always the same. Next, why the exciting new project is usually a coffin in disguise. For now, just sit with this. The core isn't safe because it's important. It's important because it was designed to be safe. They don't put a sign on the door that says sanctuary. They just route all the danger very carefully somewhere else.